Welcome back to Meet Your Body, and this might be just one of the most important things that you listen to this year. I would rank this right up there with one of the most important podcast episodes that I have done. We are talking about rest. Now, before you scroll past, before you fast forward, before you roll your eyes, hear me when I say we are not talking about the simple self-care kind of rest. I am not here just to tell you to get a pedicure or take a bubble bath. I am not here to tell you how to just get more sleep, even though, yes, that is super important. And I have an entire episode all about that. This episode is about that deep, important rest that we need for our physical being, for our mental being, for our spiritual well-being, what we need to not only be healthy, the true impacts that rest has on our health, but also how to find rest in the midst of sometimes a really, really hard time, stressful times, heartbreaking times, confusing times. We are all in that place right now to varying degrees. And so it's really important that we talk about how you can find that rest for your body, mind, soul, spirit, all of the things. How can you find that rest to sustain you during those times? So that's why I say this is such an important conversation that really will have implications across your lifespan and across your health span. So stick with me here today. I am so excited to have this conversation with you. So we're going to talk about what rest is. So what that actually means, what I mean when I say rest. I'm talking about what rest is. We're going to talk about what rest isn't, because there's actually some things that rest is not. We're going to talk about why it's so important and then how to get it. So some really kind of simple, applicable things that you can leave today with to say, I can start that in my life tomorrow. This is not just an existential conversation. That means you will be done and not know where to go from here. I really believe in giving you some kind of actionable steps that you can take immediately to put into practice what we discuss here. So we're definitely going to end with that. So first, I'm going to tell you kind of my experience and my story with rest. Because another thing you'll always find here is it's really important to me that you never feel alone. And even in situations that I might talk about as a physical therapist, as a health expert that I haven't personally experienced myself, even in those times, I'm going to try to give you stories of other people, experiences of other people or clients I've seen, simply so that you know you are not walking through this world with an experience that no one else has had. We can share these things. We can walk side by side. And so the same goes for rest. I'm going to kind of give you some context around my own personal experience with rest. So like many of you, I grew up and I've come by my difficulty with rest. I've come by that honestly, I would say, because rest is not easy for me. And maybe I should start with that. That should be my lead in. Rest is not easy for me, and it never has been easy for me. And I come by that honestly, meaning, first off, I am the eldest daughter and I'm the firstborn child. Okay, so both of those things. I also have a mom who my entire life has been a very, very hard worker. She had a full-time job my entire life and then would come home, take care of us, come to every single activity we had. She organized all of our activities. She made our food. Did all the things, the housework. I saw that in action. I saw a mom who was extremely productive, extremely efficient, and did not take time for herself ever that I actually remember. Very, very admirable. And also, I was taught that that is what we do. And I definitely strived for that. I mean, I was that one who strived to be head of my class and got into college knowing what I wanted to do for a career, got into grad school very quickly. Young, it was all a challenge for me, but I kind of wanted that challenge. Like I definitely was the one who was pushing and doing all the activities and doing all the things with the end goal in mind. And you've heard me talk about that when I've talked about chronic stress and all of those kind of things in my experience with that. But that was my history a little bit. And truly, I liked being productive also. So I don't say this with any kind of regret. I liked it and I still do. I love having a to-do list that I check off. I love being efficient with my time. I love doing things for other people and helping our family stay organized. I mean, it really is. If you know anything about Enneagram, I won't go on a tangent, but my Enneagram, my safety is all about being organized and knowing what's coming next. So I am all about that. So I have no problem with it. I was happy to live in that space. Not realizing that my propensity for those things, along with my wholehearted embrace of the hustle culture, really put me into a place of not giving rest any kind of value, like whatsoever. So all of that would lead me into 2020, into the year 2020. And again, if you want more details, I do have an entire podcast episode about kind of my history and my experience with chronic stress, which is right around this time. But around the year 2020 to 2022, my nervous system, like again, many of you, went off the rails. Okay. Completely dysregulated nervous system during that time for us. And it hit me around 2022. So 2 years in, that it was destroying my health. It truly was. And I needed to turn it around. So I made some very, very intentional and purposeful choices when it comes to regulating my nervous system and really discovering what I personally needed to do to calm my nervous system, to nourish my nervous system. And it has been one of my top priorities since then. So with that, this leads me to the idea of rest. This was a year ago, a little over a year ago. And while I had, again, done all of that work about nourishing my nervous system, stress was still there, as it always will be. I'm not here to remove all the stress from your life. We can't do that. So stress was still there. But I found I was not reacting really well to it. I'll just say that. I was not reacting really well to it. And I found myself kind of going back to some of those old patterns that I had been trying to break out of. And for me, that just means going straight into like an anxiety place. I get ruminating thoughts about certain things. I get very reactive is how it feels to me. I react very quickly to email, everything. Everything feels like an assault on my system. So I was getting to that place and I felt my nervous system getting heightened again. And I really said, I can't let myself do this. This is a matter of my health at this point. This is an absolute matter of my health. I have gone through at that point, I'd gone through 2 surgeries in less than a year for my breast cancer diagnosis. I was 46 years old. I mean, I was looking into the second half of my life and what I wanted it to look like and the responsibility that I had over my health choices. And it was very clear to me that it really wasn't a matter of, oh, I'll just do that later. Oh, it's okay to be stressed all the time. Oh, I just need to keep being productive. It wasn't a matter of that kind of mindset anymore. It was a matter of, I have got to find a better way to do this for my health. This is a health aspect going forward. And the word that came to mind was rest. And I had an interesting experience earlier that year in the summer. We spend a lot of time in Hawaii in the summer. And I had noticed, and I've noticed this for years, that since having kids, that we would go to the beach. Okay. And this was when they were a teeny bit older, so I wasn't quite so worried about their safety at the beach. They were a little bit older, but we would go to the beach, me and the kids, and my husband, and I wouldn't have my phone, or I wouldn't use it because we didn't have any reception at the beach. So my phone would stay hidden away. So no work. I wasn't even worried about taking pictures or anything like that. And the sun would be out, and I would just sit on that towel, like right in the sand with the kids. Like they were playing. Sometimes I would do a sandcastle with them. Sometimes I would be jumping in the waves with them. But this feeling I have was me sitting there watching them play in the sand, or watching them with my husband in the water. Nobody needed me. They were happy as can be. The sun was shining. Like I said, my phone was put away. I wasn't working. No one could reach me. And I would have a moment of just complete calm. And I didn't look for it to last very long, but I had moments of that. And it was so interesting to me because it was such an eye-opener, because I realized I am not feeling this, I guess, most of the rest of the time, because this feels really unique and amazing to me. And yes, we were on vacation. I mean, I know it's easy to say, oh my gosh, you were on vacation. You were in Hawaii. Like, absolutely. Yes. And also, I know myself enough to have the self-awareness of, what was it from a mindset perspective that allowed me to get to a place that I felt safe enough and comfortable enough that I let go of all of that reactivity, of all of that need to be doing something, of all of that need to be protecting someone, helping someone, doing something, being better, like all of those things that, for me, again, it's a matter of self-awareness, because you have to know kind of what it is for you. But those are the things that keep me, I think, from that true rest, those mindsets. So what was it about that moment that allowed me to do that? Then, actually, during that same trip, it was an afternoon, and we were all just hanging out at the house. And I laid down on the couch. I literally laid down on the couch and put my head on a pillow, and I just laid there. And I kid you not, my family members, all three, okay, each of my two kids and my husband, all walked in at different times during this. And they said to me, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Do you feel sick? What's wrong with you?" They all did that. Do you know why? Because they'd never seen me just lay down on the couch before. Now, this was insane to me. Like, I had a real epiphany in this moment. One, that my kids had never seen me just lay down and do nothing. I mean, I was staring at the ceiling, I think is what I was doing. I was laying there, not even taking a nap. Okay. Not taking a nap, not on my phone, nothing. I was laying there staring at the ceiling. They had never seen me do that. But two, because they had never seen me do that, I was not showing them that it was okay for them to do that. Like, they were also growing up with a model of someone who did not show that I valued rest. And that was a real wake-up call for me. And I do want to say, when we talk about what rest looks like I play with my kids all the time. Okay. Like, it is very important to me. I put down my phone at the end of the workday at 2:30 p.m. I do not check work again until they're asleep, if I can help it. I am present for them. I'm playing with them. I'm driving them. I'm very much with them. And so to hear them say, "I've never seen you rest," to me, like, right away, I hear it as almost as an insult. Because to me, I'm saying, "What? I'm with you all the time. I'm always resting." It's different. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about with what rest doesn't look like. Rest is truly a feeling of rest. So all of that came about at the same time for me, this realization that I did not have deep or true rest, I should say, in my life, or I wasn't modeling it well. I wasn't practicing it well. And it was starting to have an effect, or it would have an effect on my health going forward. So I actually made my goal for 2025, my overarching goal for 2025 was rest. It was rest. And I cannot say I excelled at that goal. I cannot say that I excelled at it. But I had a constant awareness and a constant practice of rest, which is really important. And that's what I want to pass on to you today as we get into this, that it isn't something that you suddenly achieve the very next day, especially if you have a lot of mindset issues to unravel around rest, like I do. If it has to do with kind of, again, your value in life or how you see yourself as worthy, your productivity, those kind of things, there's a lot to untangle and unravel. This is not something that will be done overnight. But just the fact that I put a priority finally on it has made a huge difference. And it's constantly something I come back to. That idea of how can I approach this with rest? It's not even a matter of am I resting more? Okay. It is for me. How do I approach this situation, this day, this issue, this email? How do I approach this with a posture of rest? How do I come to this with an attitude of rest? Because I realized I was coming to everything with an attitude of either, all right, let's go, let's get it done, like, or hustle, hustle, got to do more, or coming at it from an attitude of, oh my gosh, I'm really worried to open this. I'm really anxious about responding to this. I'm really nervous about this. Like, those were my attitudes coming to everything. And there's a time and a place, I think, for some of those. But when I changed my mindset to how do I actually approach this conversation with an attitude of rest instead of an attitude of being really nervous or wanting to put up a fight about it or just wanting to defend myself, what if I approach this with a different attitude? What if I approach the holiday season with an attitude or a posture of rest, even knowing I have a million things to do? Okay, I'm not going to go away from reality. I'm going to understand there's a reality of a million things to do. But can I approach it with an attitude of rest as opposed to an attitude of being upset that I have to do it? Okay. So I want you to start to kind of wrap your head around that idea of how can I approach this with rest, or how can I incorporate a mindset, a physical stance of rest into my life. So let's talk about what rest isn't. All right. So it's really important to understand what rest isn't before we can talk about what rest is. Rest is not sitting on the couch and scrolling on your phone. Rest is not being in front of the TV while finishing all of your work on your laptop. I say that not as a personal attack. I say it as someone who has really thought that that is rest, right? Like, that's what my family has seen me do. The multitasking, like absolute queen of multitasking, meaning if I have to be sitting here, I'm going to make it efficient. I'm going to get a big bang for my buck out of the time that I have. I am the queen of that. Right. So again, sitting in down in front of the TV, and I say that, let's say we're watching football. We're a big football family on Sundays. We'll always watch our local football games, and I will have my computer on my lap, making sure that I can get, maybe groceries ordered or something done for school, surveys I have to fill out, something like that. Like, I will go down my to-do list in that way while I'm watching football. I'm not saying that's bad. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. But it's important to understand that is actually not rest. All right. Same with scrolling on your phone. You might say, oh my gosh, I have 5 minutes to put my feet up for the next thing that I need to do. But then you immediately put your feet up and pull out your phone and scroll and maybe get lost in the news of the day or whatever it is, or this person said that, oh my gosh, that's not rest either. Okay. Just important to understand that. What rest is not. Rest is not those things. Rest is not ruminating thoughts. All of the thoughts of going over the same situation over and over and over again. Planning for a future conversation that you don't know if it's going to happen. It may or may not happen, but it riles you up a little bit. Going through past things that you can't change, wishing you had said something different, and just staying on those thoughts over and over and over again. That is not rest. You might be resting your body, right? You might be sitting down. Just because you're sitting down doesn't mean that you're doing something restful. Rest is not going to get a pedicure because people say you need self-care. So you're like, by golly, I'm going to go get that pedicure then, but being worried the entire time about an email that you need to send. Okay, that is not rest. Rest is not going on that retreat and then worrying the entire time about the money that you're spending on that retreat. Rest is not trying to ignore your very real stress, to-do list, projects, needs of others, etc. Meaning, if those things are on your heart, are realities in your life, and you are just trying your best to ignore them, that actually isn't rest. And I feel like that's a message that comes across sometimes. You need to do this meditation. You have to go get that massage. You need to go on that retreat. Like, these are the things that are going to solve everything for you. And there's, again, a time and a place for those things for sure. And they can definitely be incorporated into a life of rest. But if you are asking yourself to do them or making yourself do them while also carrying the weight of very real stress, diagnoses, sadness, pain, worry for other people, if you are carrying both at the same time and they are competing ideas, then they aren't rest for you. All right? So what is rest? I'm going to read you the definition first because this is really interesting. So rest, again, it's not just sleeping more, okay? It's not just doing all the self-care. It's not just laying down but doing 10 tasks and saying, you know what, but I laid down, so I rested, so now I'm going to move on. That is not what rest is. Deep rest is a profound psychophysiological state where the body's stress response turns off, allowing the parasympathetic nervous system to dominate for cellular rejuvenation, nervous system recalibration, and deep healing, going beyond mere relaxation or sleep by creating a feeling of safety to promote mental and physical restoration. I know there was a lot there, so we're going to unpack that, okay? So the aspects of rest, first off, it's parasympathetic dominance, all right? And we've talked about this in our stress podcasts in the past in nourishing your nervous system. But you have your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight, which you do need, okay? We're not trying to ignore it. We just want it to work when it needs to work in our lives, not all the time. But that's your sympathetic fight or flight. Then you have your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your what we call rest and digest. That is what is turned on when you come back to baseline, when you feel safe, when you feel nourished. That is rest and digest. That's parasympathetic. We want that to be the dominant system so that the sympathetic, your fight or flight, only turns on when needed, right? Like when you need that stress response, when you're doing a last minute project and you need that burst of energy, when you are going for a run or a sprint, when you actually are doing something for your safety and you need that burst of cortisol. That's when we want that stress response to kick in. But we need our bodies to be able to come back to baseline and be in parasympathetic. So that is one component of rest in your body. And that is why I say that true rest isn't like just going to get a pedicure, getting a massage, laying down, but then staying in that state of worry and wonder and anxiety and thoughts. If that is not parasympathetic dominance. That's body rest, like you're sitting down. Like I said, the massage might feel good, but it's not true rest if your mind is still going and worried about all of those things. So parasympathetic dominance is a part of rest. Feeling mentally and physically safe is a part of rest. And I cannot overemphasize this. In my opinion, it might be one of the most important pieces and one of the most under talked about pieces of true rest. If you don't feel mentally or physically safe, then it's really hard to find rest. And again, I am not saying we're just going to fix that off the bat and you're going to be good to go. And I'm also not saying that you can't find rest until those things are gone from your life, because you can. And it's important that we find a way to do that, because as I've mentioned, it's really unrealistic to imagine and think that we're going to remove all the stressors from our life. We just can't, right? Like, we can minimize them, and we should have that self-awareness and be able to minimize some of those stressors that we're bringing into our life. But there will always be stressors that come and go. And so it's not realistic to imagine that you're going to completely remove them. You can, though, find a way to still feel that sense of safety. And I'm going to say, for example, in your body, even if you have a diagnosis you don't understand. And those kind of things are important. Just that awareness is really important when it comes to finding rest, is that you also need to address anything that might make you feel really unsafe in your body, right? And unsafety, like when you don't feel safe in your body, that can manifest in lots of ways too. That can just be that you have pain you don't understand, that your body reacts in ways you don't understand. Your body is changing because of perimenopause or menopause. Maybe mentally you don't feel safe because you've recently moved. And so your mind just says, I don't know this place yet. Or you have something coming up and you're not sure which way it's going to go. So you're kind of feeling up in the air about things. All of those things can kind of make your body and your mind feel like it's in an unsafe situation, which then makes rest hard to find. So when you have that rest, again, you feel mentally and physically safe. You have parasympathetic dominance, and cellular repair happens. So your body can repair its cells. And sometimes that's sleep and sometimes it isn't. Okay. So rest does not mean you're asleep necessarily. We want deep rest when we're sleeping, but deep rest can also be found when you're awake. And so finding a state of rest as a baseline, or at least as an option, even when you're dealing with those things around you, is really important. So we are not here to completely eliminate whatever storms might be swirling around you. I want to do that for you. And I think we can help decrease those. We're always working on that. But again, I'm always going to be here to tell you that I'm going to be realistic with you, that those are going to come and go still. But what we can do, even with the storms swirling around us, we can find a way to regulate our nervous system, to come back to parasympathetic, right? To come back to that rest and digest, and to find that sense of rest or moments of rest, even while that storm is happening. And that is what we are going to get into, is what might be keeping you from finding rest. So what might be holding you back, or when it's hard to find that rest, and then what steps to take to find it. And first, a word from our sponsor. I talk a lot about the small things that are big needle movers, meaning the easy to incorporate things that have a huge payoff for my health and how I feel. Electrolytes are one of those things for me, and Cure hydration packs are my favorite way to get them. Cure is a plant-based electrolyte with no added sugar, and with flavors like watermelon and berry pomegranate, I actually crave my daily packet, which makes hydration so much easier. Staying hydrated isn't just about water. You also need electrolytes, and that's why I love Cure. It's clean, it tastes great, and it actually works. For Meet Your Body listeners, you can get 20% off your first order at curehydration.com/MYB with code MYB. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know you heard about Cure right here. It really helps support the show. And here's a bonus. Cure is FSA and HSA approved, so you can use your FSA or HSA funds to stay hydrated the smart way. Don't just drink more water, upgrade it with Cure. It's really important to also acknowledge that there will be times that it is hard to find this rest. And we discussed this a little bit when we talked about feeling safe in your body. But I want to address a few other things just so, again, you have some awareness of not only why it's important, but ways that you might be able to change some things in your life so that rest can come a little more easily. So, like we said, that idea of feeling safe in your body, both mentally and physically, is important. So, just starting to put some thoughts around that, around the idea of, okay, if you are not feeling that, if you're not feeling that level of kind of comfort in your body, why might that be the case? And are there a few things that you can do around that? And I have a podcast episode all about that too. So I'll put the link below. Another way that it can feel hard just to feel safe in your body and then also to find rest is if you are in pain. If you are in chronic pain, if you're in pain that you don't know why it's happening, if you're in pain and it comes and goes and it's not predictable, those are big reasons that it can be hard to find rest. If you have kind of those thoughts that we talked about that go on, and I say that because that is, I am raising my hand here as the person who gets those a lot. Like, I'm that person. If you're going to tell me to go meditate, my thoughts will just go. And I keep coming back to things. And then the next thing I know, I'm on these tangents. It can feel hard to rein those in. And so just understand that can sometimes make that rest a little bit harder. And it simply means for me that I need to be more intentional. It doesn't mean I don't do it. And I also don't put the stress on myself that I need to fix all these things before I find rest. We're not always going to fix everything first. It is a lifelong journey to feel safe in your body. It's sometimes a really long journey to understand your pain. It's a really long journey to work on those anxious thoughts. That doesn't mean rest isn't accessible to you. It's just that idea that you want to put some awareness towards it, and you might need to be a little more intentional and purposeful around those things. It can also be hard to find rest if you don't believe you are worthy of it or you don't believe it's valuable. Very common, especially in this hustle culture, this do-it-all culture. It can really feel that rest isn't valuable, that it's a sign of weakness. I absolutely know that. I remember so clearly when I owned my own Pilates studios and physical therapy clinics, and I would be working 10 hours a day, and I would have like 5 classes or clients in the morning, and I would have an hour off. And I would just think to myself, I just want to get out in the sun. I'm going to walk. And I would do a short walk and maybe grab some food or do notes or anything like that. And I would come back and my next client would be waiting for me. And she would say, something to the effect of, oh, did you have a break? And I would say, yeah, I had an hour off. So I went on a short walk. Oh, and that person would say, oh, must be nice. Or, oh, that's so nice. You got a break in the middle of the day. And I remember thinking that I wanted to defend myself. Like, I would say things to make sure that person knew how hard I was working. Oh, no, I actually went and did notes the whole time. Or, oh, yeah, I'm here until 8:00 tonight. So it's good that I got an hour break. I just remember thinking how silly that was, that I felt a need for other people to know how hard I was working. But that is really, I think, the culture and the society that we are in, that we feel this validation and that we might get some gold medal of achievement for being the one who sleeps the least, who stays up the latest, right? Whose baby keeps her up the most at night, who works the latest at work, who has the most projects going on. Like, we really do have some kind of obsession with that. And I say it because I know it. I have lived it myself. And I continue to feel that. A little bit. I continue to feel bad about needing more sleep as I get older, even though I know how valuable it is. Like, there's a part of me that feels bad, like I need to apologize for it. So we have got to get out of that mindset. Like, you have to know that there is value in rest. Okay. So that's a big thing that might be holding you back from rest, that you got to believe it. You got to believe that it is valuable. So let's talk about why then. If you're saying, okay, great, Jessica, I'll try to work on that, but why? Like, why does it even matter? Okay, here you go. For your health, this is why rest is so important. It's important for our long-term health. It helps with our immune system. So it is a big, big piece to our immune system health. Like, you know it, right? You run yourself ragged, you're going to get sick. I mean, we just say that kind of like, ah, ha, ha, yep, I got sick. I was working so hard, or burning the candle at both ends. But yeah, it's true. Okay. You are going to run down your immune system. It's important for tissue healing, super important. So we're talking post-surgery, but also any kind of injury at all or issue you might have. If you're just working out hard and you need your muscle tissue to repair itself so that you can lift weights again the next time, you need to be able to find that deep rest. It's important for pain regulation. It's important for your sleep, important for cellular repair, for brain health, for our mental health. So brain health when it comes to memory and recall and things like that, the actual health of your brain itself, and that neuron health. And then we're talking about mental health also, anxiety and depression and things like that. Your vitality, your energy, right? And your enjoyment of life. We don't really talk about that enough, about what can happen to our true just enjoyment of life when we constantly think everything is about what did I get done? What checklist did I do? And what can I check off? And did people see how busy I was and how hard I worked? I just think that's something just for you to come back to really look at that. Because again, kind of entering the second half of my life, I want to know that I enjoyed it. And sometimes, as I mentioned, like work is a part of that for me. So I want you to hear when I say that. I love what I do. Absolutely. I love all the stuff that I can do for my family. I choose all of that. Being productive feels really good to me. I am a goal-oriented person. Like, I like all of that. It is the attitude and the posture we come at it with. Do we wrap our value and our worth up in how busy we are? Do we sacrifice happiness or relationships or sleep? Do we sacrifice any of that because we feel like we have to hustle, and keep working? Do we not notice what's around us because we're always scrolling on our phone, doing more, getting things done? It's just something to check in with, to really know that enjoying your life is important. I mean, maybe it's the most important thing, to find joy around you. And it doesn't have to be the big things, but finding those little glimmers. And especially right now in the world today, it is a game changer for me sometimes. We have a Christmas cactus. Okay, hear me out here. I don't know if you're listening to this in real time, but I'm recording this 2 weeks before Christmas. Oh gosh, not even. In December. And we were given a Christmas cactus by a neighbor last year, and it was right after the holiday, so it had no blooms. Okay, I am not good at keeping plants alive. My husband's better, so he's in charge. And we've been watering this little plant for a year, not knowing. I don't even know if we're keeping it alive. I don't know. It's just been in this Christmas tree, like vase thing on our kitchen counter for a year. You guys, 3 weeks ago, it started blooming. I just am in shock still. And it kept blooming and it kept blooming. And it has these beautiful fuchsia flowers on it. I am tickled pink about this situation. I am delighted beyond words that we have a plant that is alive, that knows to bloom every Christmas. I just can't. I can't even understand it. It is magic to me. That is what I mean by joy. Like that glimmer, that delight. I didn't have space for it for a while, or I would just notice it and kind of pass by and be like, oh, that's cool. Like it was that attitude, right? Like that posturing. There's so many other things to do. And now I just let myself just be delighted in this cactus for no reason other than that it is awesome. I don't have expectations that it'll happen again. I'm not sitting here wondering, oh gosh, I hope we can keep it alive, because I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I hope we can. And by we, I mean my husband. I hope so, but I don't really know. I don't have any expectations beyond what I'm seeing right now with my eyes, which is this fascinating plant that knows to bloom at Christmas time. That is the joy that you want to bring into moments in your life right now that really will contribute to rest. And it's a great segue into, how are you going to get rest? Like, what are the my tips? What are the actionable steps you can take to start to find that deep rest? And one of them is just that, like, just let yourself be delighted by something. Maybe it's something like a story someone else is telling you that they are so excited about, and you're actually going to tune in and really listen and like really be so excited for them. Whereas 3 days ago, you might have tuned out a little bit because you had other things to think about. Like, can you find delight in that? Can you find delight in just nature around you? Or something delicious that you're eating that is just the most amazing thing you've ever tasted. Like, what is it? A favorite song that you haven't just let yourself sit and close your eyes and really hum to for a while. A really funny show that you're just tuned in with, that you don't have to be doing anything else. You're just sitting on the couch laughing at your favorite show. Like, what can you find a little bit of delight in, and let it be silly. Don't try to find worth or value or reason to it. Just let yourself sit in the joy of this thing. Okay. So that's one way. Another thing, which really is kind of first and foremost, is you just have to decide it's important, period. You have to decide that finding rest in your life is important and valuable and worthwhile. Because I know some of you are thinking, oh yeah, I know it's important, but it's important for that person, not for me. Or I just don't have time for it. I'm sure it's fine, but I don't have time for it. You have to take a step further and really recognize the value of it when it comes to your health. All right. So that really has to be first. Another is conscious effort. Like, you have to make yourself maybe lay down and put your phone away. Like I did on the couch that day that my family thought something was wrong with me. I just kind of said, you know what? I have 5 minutes and I'm going to lay here. I'm going to lay here and stare at the ceiling for 5 minutes. And guess what, you guys? Nothing broke. Nothing broke. I didn't miss a deadline. Nobody judged me. My family didn't wish I was doing something else. In fact, they celebrated the fact that I did it. Nothing bad happened when I laid down on the couch and stared at the ceiling for 5 minutes. And nothing bad will happen if you do it also. But it has to be a conscious effort. The next tip is start with 5 minutes at a time. I think we make it really big. Like, that's what it feels to me. It either feels inaccessible because it's so big and it's not something I'm going to do. Like, I am not going on a retreat anytime soon. Probably the entire time my kids live at home. I'm not going to leave them. I just know myself. I'm not going to do that. So that feels really big. But guess what? Life is full of 5-minute choices. That is what it is. So what can you do for 5 minutes at a time? Maybe it's laying down like I did, but maybe it's something completely different. Maybe it is turning off the music or the podcast or the news in the car when you're driving and paying attention to what route you're going. Like, when was the last time you did that? We have elk in our neighborhood. So this is another just delight thing for me. We have elk, and when they are out and about, when the herd comes through, I will get in my car, even if I'm home, like, and they're just a few houses down. I'll get in my car and drive the 3 minutes. And I'll take the kids if they're home. I'm like, stop what you're doing. We're getting in the car. And they love it. They don't have to put their seatbelts on because we're going like just down the driveway. And they think that that's so cool. So we just like drive down the driveway and we just sit in the midst of this herd of elk while they're in all the land around us. And we will roll down the windows so we can hear them. And yeah, it's 10 minutes and we stop what we're doing to go do that and delight in it. So it can be small 5 to 10 minute things that you're doing. Maybe you get out and go for a walk just for 5 minutes, okay? But whatever it is, think of 5 minutes at a time. Like, what can you do in a 5 minute period? I think that also helps because it takes some of the pressure off of feeling like you have to change absolutely everything in your life all at once, or you have to remove every stressor. Like I said, that isn't always realistic, or it isn't always immediate that we can do that. But we can say, okay, I'm in the middle of this really stressful thing, but I can take 5 minutes. I can take 5 minutes to get in the car and, drive down the driveway and look at that rainbow that I see. I can take 5 minutes to stare out the window. I can take 5 minutes to walk to another room and look at this artwork that I absolutely love so much that we happen to have hanging up, whatever it is. Okay, whatever it is, you can take 5 minutes. And yes, you might have to come back to the stressful situation, but you're going to come back to it in a more regulated state. Another one that goes with that a little bit is to take a pause. Take a pause, take a beat. This has been huge for me as a very reactive person. When I say reactive, I mean I want to get things done right away. It is my personality. I feel better if things are done. And when I say things, I just mean anything, all the things. Like, I'm going to wash the dishes after dinner right away. We do not leave them till later because I feel better if things are done. I'm going to answer an email right away because I feel a lot better if it's not sitting overnight for me to answer the next morning. I'm going to answer a text right away. Anything like that. Like, I like to get things off my plate, but I think more than that, I don't like them sitting where I'm going to think about them and think about them. I want to get them done and move on. And that, there can be something positive to that. There are also problems with feeling like I'm going to respond to things right away. Like I'm going to give people an answer right away. I'm going to respond to things right away. And sometimes my response then is emotional, or sometimes I haven't given myself time to think about it. It's really, really valuable to just take a beat. And sometimes that might be 5 minutes. Like, that might be your 5 minutes. If you have an email or a text that someone's asking for something, first off, ask yourself, does this need an immediate response? If the answer is no, give yourself a day. Like, think about it. If it's something that requires thought, think about it. Give yourself a day. You're absolutely entitled to that. If it's something that you feel like needs a more timely response, give yourself 5 minutes. Get up from your desk, walk to the bathroom, walk and get a drink of water. Get to the office 5 minutes early. Sit in your car and take deep breaths before you go in. That I used to do that years and years and years ago when I would see 20 patients a day. There was a big difference in how I felt if I was running late and I was rushing and I had to get out of the car like right away and grab my water and all my lunch stuff, and I would rush into the office and the person's waiting for me, and I like that mindset versus just 5 minutes sitting in the car, gathering my thoughts. I was there on time. I could walk in calm. Like, that's a big difference. So giving yourself a beat, like that 5 minutes, like we talked about, but using it kind of as a little break, as a little beat, as a pause, can be really helpful when you are developing the habit of deep rest. Because think of it this way. I know you might be thinking, okay, that's not rest. That's just 5 minutes. Like, that's not sleep. What it is, though, is it's getting you to a parasympathetic nervous system state. That is what you're doing. You're training your body to find deep rest. And that's what I found on the beach those years ago when I was like, why do I feel just so calm here? And it was because of that, because it was a place that my nervous system felt safe and supported. Because for me, again, I wasn't getting to work. I wasn't having to be reactive to anyone around me. No one needed anything from me. Those things that make me heightened, that need to serve and to do and to help and to react and to all those things, that's what makes me feel heightened. Those were taken away from me. And by practicing and working on that nervous system skill, by practicing getting myself to that parasympathetic state, I've been able to find that in other places. Okay, I don't have to be on a beach in Hawaii. Yeah, it would be great if I am. That would be fantastic, but I don't have to be. I can find it right here in my office. I can find it in the middle of my daughter's middle school performance. If I just take a moment, take a breath, and remind myself, which is kind of the next state, the next tip. If you need to, remind yourself that you are safe. Okay. If you feel that anxiety creeping up for any reason, take a moment, look around you, use your senses if you need to. There's some really great practices about grounding, but really tell yourself, okay, I am safe right now. I am safe. I feel this chair underneath me. I have water. I'm going to take a sip of water. I'm going to taste that water. I'm going to hydrate myself. I am going to give myself protein. I am okay where I am. Like sometimes you just need to ground yourself in the moment, and it can be as simple as those few sayings, okay, to get yourself into that parasympathetic state. Another thing to help you get to that deep rest and to cultivate it is to filter what you let into your life. Social media, how much news you're letting in, what shows you watch, what podcasts you listen to. And I am not saying there's any that are right or wrong. I do not have a list for you. This is for you. That's all that matters, is what makes your anxiety go up and what makes your anxiety go down, or what sends you into fight or flight and what helps you get into that parasympathetic place. And it's different for all of us, because some people will say meditation is the absolute way, right, to deep rest. But there are some of you that I say that word meditation and probably your stress levels start to go up because it actually makes you feel kind of stressed. So that's why it really is different for everyone, and it will change over time. If you're in a place that you're very heightened and you're very fight or flight right now, your nervous system is all over the place, you might need to really regulate some of those things you're looking at, that you're listening to. And then you might be able to let them back in a few months when you're in a better place. So it just is kind of taking that. You need to take stock of that. Okay, what are you letting into your life? What do you need? Like, you might need to keep some of them. Are there some things you can let go, and are they serving you? That's just a question for you to ask. Movement. Move your body. Move your body every day. You know that. You've heard me say it, but it's a great way to help your body get into that kind of safety place, that parasympathetic place. Let go of the things you can't change. And I'm sorry, I do not have the best tips on how to do that. I'm just telling you, as someone who works on it myself, it's an important piece of deep rest, is trying to let go of the need to control the things that you cannot change. And another one that really helps me is having small rituals to kind of change energetically throughout the day from one thing to another. And this goes back to that idea of what I said, like rushing to work and rushing in and rushing to one thing to another. When you don't give your body a moment and your mind a moment to kind of, oh, I'm going to close the door on that activity, I'm going to open the door to the next. Like, it's figuratively moving from one thing to the next. That helps you stay in that parasympathetic state. So for me, I've found, like I mentioned, I will work until 2:30. At 2:30, my workday is done. My mom day starts. So I go pick up the kids, or my husband picks up the kids, brings them to me. I drive one to another, whatever we have going on that night. But that is when it switches for me. I do so much better if I actually will shut down work around 2:15 and give myself 15 minutes to go on a really short walk. Sometimes I even change clothes. I know that sounds silly, but that's like an energetic changer for me. If I go from my filming clothes or my workout clothes or podcast recording clothes to whatever I'm going to be needing to chaperone that night or things. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes it isn't, but it's just an energy changer. I shut down my computer. I walk out of my office, and then I'm done with my office for the day. I'm moving on to the next part of my day. It actually helps my nervous system quite a bit and helps me, again, to stay in or be able to find that deep rest state, especially if I find I'm moving into, like, we have a lot going on that night that would keep me going, which will happen sometimes, right? I'm not saying I'm cutting out all that activities. I'm saying by taking 5 minutes to shift my energy from like my daytime to what's needed for mom time, to maybe fill my water bottle, to get sun on my face for a minute, it changes my energy completely and prepares me then. So I have like a resurgence, or I've restocked my energy for the next thing that's coming. It makes a really big difference. And then, of course, the things we've talked about: deep breathing, meditation, getting good sleep, hydrating, we talked about, getting your protein, nourishing yourself. Those are all so important, and they're all tools that you can use. I do find you need these other things to be built in first. If you don't believe that rest is important, then meditation might not make a difference, right? You need to believe it's important. You need to really feel safe in your body in order to be able to include exercise every day. So you have to kind of build the foundation, and then you can add those extra tools on top of it. So what might this look like? Or what might this look like in just a given day? Like, that's what I want to actually end with. I'm going to just tell you and walk you through what your day might look like when you are using some of these tips for deep rest. So you wake up in the morning, and instead of grabbing your phone right away, or instead of hitting snooze 10 times and having to jump out of bed, you wake up and you just spend 3 minutes. I'm not saying you're waking up an hour early, okay? I'm not talking about a morning routine whatsoever. I don't have that. I have this. I wake up, my eyes will open slowly, and for 3 minutes, I give myself 3 minutes in bed. No phone, okay? I'm not looking at anything. I am just laying there, taking a few deep breaths, saying thank you for this day, and then I get up. It's a really different mindset to start the day. So that's what it can look like right away in the morning. Making sure you eat breakfast. Yes, it's an important part of nourishing your body and getting your body to regulate its cortisol levels from waking up in the morning. Okay? Eat a nourishing breakfast. Another thing that helps me is making a list of my priorities the day before. And you might be thinking, oh, I already do that. Well, great. You're already serving yourself then. That's a way I serve myself. I know myself. And if I do better, as I mentioned, kind of with a checklist. I do really well with to-dos. Tell me what to do and I will do it. And that helps me a lot. And I just know myself, and it actually keeps me regulated because it helps me feel safe and kind of on track for the week. And so I do that on Sunday every single week. I just sit down really quick. It takes me 5 minutes, and I map out what I need to do each day. Like, what are my big goals Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for work? And that helps me a lot. So that helps to actually keep me feeling, again, kind of safe and on track with that. So it might look like something as easy as that. Stay hydrated, have your water next to you, have your nourishing foods. Okay, really important for your nervous system for that. Walks, incorporating walks during the day. Maybe you're just incorporating a 5 or 10 minute walk during your lunch break. Maybe you're letting yourself go on that walk between, work onto your next thing. Maybe when that email comes in asking you to volunteer at the next big event, you just take a day before you answer. Take a day and ask yourself if you want to do that or not. Either way, you decide if the answer is right for you. Take a day to decide. Have regular practices in place to deal with any pain you might be feeling. I don't want to spend 10 to 15 minutes every morning working on my back pain right now. But guess what? I need to, in order to help my body feel less stressed and find that deep rest state. If I don't take care of myself and my pain starts going up, then I feel less safe in my body. My stress goes up. My walks will go down. It's a cascading effect. So just staying on top of that is a big part of me finding that deep rest state. And then having a shutdown procedure at night to get ready for bed. Again, just like the morning, right? I'm regulating myself to start the day, and I'm regulating myself to end the day. I shut down my phone. Don't look at social media. Don't look at emails or anything like that, at least an hour before bed. I am going to take my shower because a hot shower helps to relax me. I'm going to read a really good book, those kind of things. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be complicated, but having the same habit every night and focusing on my sleep then helps to bookend the day. And then it starts again the next day. So those aren't huge things, right? They're just small habits that build up over time to contribute to the deep rest that your body and your mind need. I hope that helped. I am going to have a hope for the new year for all of us that we can put more practices into place to find deep rest. All right, I'll talk to you soon.